This conference will now be recorded.
All right, as always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. So today, pretty much the pre-market was the exact personality that we needed to wait for into the day. So we've seen where we have kind of a little bit of a slow pre-market, and we start to get things, really start to pop off almost immediately upon the market opening. But that was not the case. Today took a lot of patience. When I say a lot of patience, I just mean we had to wait further into the morning to really see those high percentage trades that showed themselves really start to come to fruition. And I really highly doubt that the afternoon's going to be any different. We're really going to need to see, a lot come in order for us to show that it's really going to be able to release. So let's start with the first thing on our list is going to be WKHS. So ever since it got those ask prints at this 1550 right here, basically right before 11 o'clock, and then we pulled back and got that trigger, it looks like it's just been continuing to build. So we have our ask prints that came in at 1750, and we also have our ask prints at that 18 level. We're pulling back right now, but if you can see, it's not really pulling back on much selling. I don't really see much that's in there that shows us that we really need to come that far back. So really what we're going to be looking for is just that volume to stay consistent. We're in a little bit of a dip right now. And from that dip, just get a trigger back towards that top side. We should have absolutely no problem getting towards that double top. And then from there, we're going to look at what the reaction of the prints are going to be to show us. I mean, the prints at 18, don't get me wrong, should have no problem getting to 1850. But what I really want to see is the reaction coming to that double top to show us if we have the buying to really get us towards that 20 level, because I just don't see anything that shows 20 yet, even though overall, I mean, it has been building. We've just been seeing fantastic moves coming into it. But like I said, just this afternoon, I don't see the shorter term prints coming in to give us that 20 yet. We're going to really need to see what that reaction at the double top is. So before I get into sideless stocks, we have a lot of stocks that have some really nice trends. So FDX is going to be one of them. So I've been watching this a little bit, and when I look at the print personality, it does not take a lot to really get this thing moving. And you can see right here, we had those two bid prints, at 157. Now, if you don't really have your money made this morning, are you going to take a trade based off of two bid prints? No, absolutely not. For 2,000 shares, not even a chance. So you really definitely want to see this volume start to pick up. You can see it's only trading about 16,000 shares per minute, so it's going to have to pick up for us to really be able to get behind anything that we do see there. Or we're going to need to see just something that comes out of the ordinary, some real type of difficulty of trade to come in there to show us that we're going to be able to get back down towards those lows. Is it going to be a huge trade? I don't really expect it to, just because it's already traded $7. And I mean, don't get me wrong, volume is absolutely phenomenal, but the trading volume itself, the overall volume is phenomenal. The trading volume itself isn't really that great. BA is another one where this was just an absolute great call. And if it just decides to come up. And we're sitting near those lows, but we just haven't really gotten a lot of selling into those lows. So one thing I'm just kind of looking at is that we should probably be able to get a pretty nice little pull up from that much selling that came into, we were talking about $10.02. The volume is definitely lower. It really shouldn't have even moved that much so far based off of what we see. At the end of the day, we should get pretty damn close to that average volume, but still just very, very low. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see some ask riders come in and push this thing back up. I'm not going to put that on the list. I'm just kind of going over a few things. BYND, another one where just a beautifully smooth trading stock today, but look at the volume, 22,000 shares. It's over its average, but right this second, it's just not giving us a lot of trading volume. You can see at that 140, it didn't really give us much, but these three prints that came in at 139.78 do mean a lot. So we can see that, there's definitely more opportunity for this thing to be able to continue on its move, especially considering the fact that we should get somewhere around that 20 million shares being traded by the end of the day. So still going to be watching that one pretty closely. I really haven't called out much today just because there's not really much you can do. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not going to be able to get short shares of this, and we talked about this yesterday based off of all that selling. When it was going to make its monster move, it was going to be very hard to be able to short it, and it's just shown that, completely. But one thing that I do want to look at this from, you can see 1930. I mean, this right here, this stands out big time. Okay, when with 1932 to 1928, I mean, this is a lot of selling. But one thing we want to understand is that 20 is one of those really, really crappy levels. So even though we have that selling, a few riders should bring this thing back up over 20 for a little bit before we really see that move towards that downside. So we might be able to get a nice little short-term play towards the upside. But just remember, do not be expecting to hold it for a very long time. I'm not looking for it to go from, from that selling at 19, basically 25, all the way up to this print line at all. But 50 cents to $1 trade towards the upside should not be hard whatsoever, especially once again, very hard for it to be able to hold underneath that 20 level. So let's talk about our side list, ATHE, which I spelled wrong. ATHE, we just started pulling back up to that 2, and it's funny because it got really ugly this morning, but I saw the amounts of buying in it, and I was just sitting as it was like this, and I was waiting for the breakout to come up above and get that confirmation to show us that it was really going to be able to move, and we got that pretty much a little bit after 10, and it just went on its way. We have some really great buying that's sitting there at 225 as well. So if it lets me go back, which it will, we came up to that 2 just before, and you can see we got some real nice buying, some ballsy prints at 199, some prints at 2. You could look at what the print personality has changed to. It's not as big as it was, so that does mean a lot. Just going to need that volume, because if we look over here at the actual volume bars themselves, it's going into, this is a valley. This isn't even a dip. We're actually going into a volume valley. So a trigger towards that upside back towards those 2 prints is going to be very high percentage. So I really, really love that. I'm going to be watching that pretty closely. PLUG, huge ask at that 9 level. The only thing is it's having trouble with consistently trading. So we got huge prints before. We're getting more now that came in at that 9, but it still just won't really get that release to be able to go yet. So if we can get some volume to come in here, somewhere around maybe 300, anywhere from basically 275 to 300, I want to kind of get over these bars. I don't want it all the way up to 500, because 500 means that we're going to have a very, very hard time for it to be sustaining. But overall, it has a lot of room. And the first time it came to 9, guys, there is just gigantic buying that's coming back into this. You could look on the daily chart. It took a while to build, and we've been talking about how much room this thing actually has. So do I see it yet in the prints for the afternoon? Unfortunately, I don't, but it only takes that 1 second. So make sure that you have orders ready. And, once again, very high percentage based off the amount of buying we have in there. And then MYOS. So it's been kind of lackluster at that 350. It's definitely shown enough buying to be able to break past this double top. But overall, it's another one where, we're kind of waning on our volume right now, but we're in a volume dip because, even on the low side of things, it's really, if you have 500,000 and then, to the lowest, you have about 150,000. But this is another one out of nowhere. A trigger towards the upside is going to be a very high percentage for this thing to be able to run. So make sure you have your orders ready and you're anticipating that move. Because when it does happen, if it does happen, once again, we need to see the shorter term prints, which I'm starting to see. I was looking at it when I was talking before. We do have a bunch of selling that I'm not really happy about right now during this, but I want to start seeing prints like this, bursts of 4 to 5 to 6 aspirants coming in, because what that tells us is shorter term, which is going to tell us that once that volume bar does come in, we have an even higher percentage for this thing to be able to run. We're going to start here at the double top, but once again, like I said, it does have the buying to be able to break. It's just a matter of getting that trading volume and the actual release point. That's kind of like everything else that we're seeing on the smaller, the cheaper stock side of things. So we got a bunch of stuff to look at coming into the afternoon. Now, anything else out there that I missed? All right, guys, think that is it. Let's get ready for our afternoon. I will talk to everyone. Oh, also just a quick reminder as well. I know we thought it was a half day in the market, but I went on the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange. It looks like Friday is going to be completely closed. So to make sure that you don't set your alarm to wake up early, definitely take this weekend to just kind of refresh yourself. One of the things that I do, especially on like a holiday weekend, I don't put any time into really thinking about trading until Sunday night. So enjoy yourselves, guys. Obviously, we'll talk tomorrow before, but enjoy yourselves. Stay safe, obviously, with fireworks. I've know of lots of people that have made mistakes with those before. So just enjoy yourself. And then, Sunday night, we get back to it again. But anyway, I'll be here all day tomorrow. So I'll talk to everybody in the chat, and happy trading.